Okay, so seems that nobody else is coming, so we'll start like this. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So today we'll start a 2D platformer in the same version of Unity that we used in our last project.
Yeah. Okay.
I prepared some assets. So this version right here, 2022 3.19, this one.
Yeah.
Call this 2D platform. But for some reason it doesn't let me create it. Maybe this one. No, the name might be the problem. One second. Don't know why it doesn't let me create it. Ah, okay. It will take a minute or two.
Yeah. Okay.
I would like to ask before we start programming, if you want the player to slide on walls, because if we do this we have to make the code different. So do you want the player to slide on the walls or not?
Slide. This is referring to the last mobile game project we were talking about, right?
No, we're starting a new project, a 2D platformer.
Ah. Okay. Uh, could I ask how the code would be different?
How the code would okay, so um, one thing is, we'll have, if we decide that the player can slide on walls, we'll have to add another animation,
Mhm.
and also the colliders of the platforms are made different. If we do not make the player slide, we use a tile map, which a tile map is like uh, how it is in Minecraft. It's basically the map that contains all the blocks, but it's in 2D. And then we add composite collider, which takes all the tiles and puts a collider over them. But if you want um to add sliding, um, we need to have two types of colliders: one that is vertical, where you slide, and one that is horizontal.
I'm.
So basically, if we do not add sliding, we use only one type of collider. If we do add sliding, we must use two types of colliders, and also the code is different.
I guess it would be better to stick to no sliding. Then we could do a very small project that includes sliding. Would that be okay? Or sorry,
Let me
like a
think.
sample demonstration or resource.
Uh, well, first of all, um, I never tried to make sliding in a platformer, so that will be
Oh, okay.
a new thing for me. We can try.
So we just stick to no. we don't incorporate sliding first. Is that it?
Um, your preference, whatever you like.
Uh, sure. But I probably can't speak for everyone who would be watching the recording later or who would be joining.
Okay, we'll try without sliding, and maybe change it later, or create
Yeah.
another project. We'll basically remake a game that I made before with almost the same assets.
Yeah.
We'll have different types of enemies, traps, and the objective will be to collect a certain number of fruits or something. Were you present at our previous meeting? Can you hear me? One second. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah. I can hear you.
I was asking, were you present at our last meeting?
Yeah. Yes.
And you
That was the time.
understood most of it, or
That was the time when you made the mobile game, right?
yes, we remade a mobile game, but for PC.
Yeah. There were still some of them that I did not get, but I was able to look up the API for it.
Okay, I will try to go over the basics. So first of all, we'll arrange the panels.
Okay.
We don't need we need this view is for Android. We need a view for PC. I usually like to make the background white and name the scene. Call it level one. Also, I like to keep my assets organized. So I usually keep all the assets, even the prefabs, even the scripts in one folder that I call resources, because there is a function in Unity. You can load resources, anything, any asset in code, but it needs to be
Mhm.
in a folder called resources. So you
Mhm.
always need to have a folder called resources where you have everything. And in here we have scenes, um, assets, scripts, and prefabs. Now I will take the assets that I prepared and drag and drop here. So first we'll create a background, a moving background. Then we'll create some platforms, and then we'll code the player.
Yeah.
And after that, we'll create we'll create a script called level manager, where we set a win condition, and afterwards we can add whatever we want. I will try to recreate some of the enemies that I made in my platformer. If you want, I can show you my platformer.
Oh, sure.
Let
Sure
me
thing.
let me see if I have it here. Yes. So we'll recreate. These are some of my games. Let me see where it is. This one. We'll create it with slightly different assets. Let me know if you can hear the music, because I'm not sure. I can't hear it either. Can you hear it?
Yep.
So basically, you have to collect all the fruits and then go to the trophy. See, we'll try to recreate this. Okay. Okay, so I loaded the assets. Let's look for the background first. Always press Ctrl S to save the scene. Let's make an sprite. No, not this one. Okay. Let's look for the background. Tiles, not this one. Gaussian pixel. Okay. Now let's make it cover everything. Simply multiply the scale. But you see, we want in draw mode here to select tile. Now we have tiles, and you can also change something. One second. When you import assets for pixel games, it's important that you select in filter mode point, no filter, to see it clearly. Now the problem is that this is too big. Made it too big, I think. Sliced, no? Okay, something like this, maybe a little bit bigger. Let's see in full screen. It looks something like this. Excuse me, I'm trying to remember how I did it. Okay, I think I know how. Let me call this background. Create a new script, but in the script folder, call it background script. So open it. We'll simply increase the size of the background on both axes, and it will look uh, like a sim, like how you say it. You see, 1 second is loading very slowly.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Let's first add the script to the background. Okay, now we need to get the sprite component. Create a variable called uh, sprite renderer. We don't need a start function, but one problem with this, if we increase the size of the background, at one point it is too big and it gives an error which makes the game crash. So uh, to prevent this, we at a certain point we um, return to the starting size of the background. Sorry, we actually need the start function to get the component. And now we can modify it. If size maybe. Okay. Okay. If it's bigger than 100, then we return to the starting size. And if not, we increase the size. Let's create a variable for the speed. So it grow speed. Size equal to sorry, plus equal multiplied by grow speed, and also let's try. Okay, let's see if it works. Let's set the speed to and test. It should work. See? Look in the game panel. See? Maybe it's a bit too fast. And also, if you want, you can make it move instead of diagonally, only uh, vertically. It's a bit too fast. Let's set the speed lower. Okay, now that we have the background, we'll try to make the game without sliding on vertical walls. And if we do that, we need to create an empty object. No, sorry, not empty. Tile map, rectangular. Now we need the tiles, which we have in this folder. Sorry, one second. Here, no. Here we have the tiles. All of them. When you have multiple sprites in one image, you need to select it, go to sprite mode and select multiple, and now you can divide the image in multiple tiles. Let me see if I can find them separated. Nope. It's automatic, you can see. Also, in filter mode, select point because the image is unclear. Let's try by size. 64 too big. Okay. Now we need to create. Let me see. Use tile map. We need a tile palette. Call it. Excuse me one second. Need to create it. Let's create a folder for it. Call it tile palette. Create 2D tile palette. Rectangular. Call it tiles. Okay, let's open it. Here, let's add all of the sprites. Just drag and drop. One second. Okay. For some reason it only added one. Try again.
Sorry, if I can ask, the style palette does what?
Um, you can draw the platforms. You select
Ah,
one tile from here and you can draw in the scene. I'll show you. 1 second. Let me try again. Okay, see? You have you make it bigger. All the tiles here. And then you can select multiple or one. But I don't like how it looks. 1 second. For some reason. Let's go to the scene. Select our tile map. And now we can draw. Like this. See? But it doesn't show because it is not in the correct render layer. We need to make this appear on top of the background. To do this, you go here, additional settings, and add one. Now we should be able to see it. Try again. See, but there is a problem with the size because when we imported this, we made this. You see here the setting pixels per unit. It's too
yeah.
big. You need to make it exactly the size of the tile, which is 16 times 16. You do this, and now it should work. See? Now it fits
Yeah.
perfectly. I believe this is too zoomed in. Need to change the background and the camera. Let's make this bigger and increase the size of the camera. Let's see if it's better now. See, you can select multiple if you want. See, but the tiles are not in order. And instead of adding a collider to each tile, you use something called uh, composite collider, like this, and uh, rigid body. I don't think. Let's test this 1 second. I don't know why we need the rigid body. I don't think it's necessary. Let's try to remove this. Okay, it needs the rigid body, which gives physics. But instead of dynamic, we'll make it actually make it static. Now it should not fall. Okay, now that we have the tile map, let's create the player. We'll create a sprite to this sprite. Player. Okay. Let's add a tag to it also for later. Player. Oh, it is already here. Sorry. Now let's look for the um, sprites for the character, for the player. Here should be. We need to add a couple of things. First, we need a box collider, 2D box collider. Then we need the rigid body, 2D. Always remember to the collider and the rigid body must be 2D. And also an animation controller, an animator. Let's go to our paint folder and create a new folder for the animations. Or it animation. It's in here. We need animation controller. Call it player. To the player, add the controller here in the animator. And now let's add one frame of. First, we need to divide this image into multiple sprites, like we did before. Sprite mode multiple, then sprite editor, and slice by not automatic, slice by cell size. I think it is 16. No, 32. Oh, sorry, 48. It says here. Let's add one frame here to see the player. It is a little bit small because we have too many pixels per unit. Let's try 48. And also we want this to be over the background. I think it's still too small. Let's try 24. Not maybe too big. Let's try 13. Something like this. Okay, so we let me remember that this is 13. Let's go to animations and create an animation window. Animation, then create, call it player idle, and you simply, there are two ways to make animations when we talk about 2D games. One is you modify a certain part of the player, a certain property of like position, rotation, scale. Or the other way, which we will be using now, is to add all the frames of the animations like this. Let's see if it works. See, it's a bit too fast. Let's try 20. Okay, now we have the idle. Let's create the run animation. We'll have three animations: idle, run, and jump. Hit new. There, run. Now we do the same thing that we did with the idle animation. 30 pixels per unit. Filter mode point. Multiple sprites. Edit. 48 times 48. Slice. Now drag and drop. Same speed, 20. Now we need the jump, and then we can start coding. Okay, 30 again. Okay. Oh, sorry, I forgot what the frames. See how it looks. Bit fast, and also I have a problem with this because it's looping. I make it very slow. Not too slow. And also we save it in this folder. Idle must loop, run must loop, but the jump animation we don't want to loop it. Where is my animation? Not idle jump, instead the jump still loops. Let's see what other animations we have here. Wall land, wall slide, wall land, player land. Okay, let's also add the land animation. We do the same. Slice 48, okay. Select the correct folder. See how it looks. Okay. Okay, now we need to create the conditions for the transitions between animation. We need another window called animator. See, here we have all the animations that we made. Idle will be the default one. Run, jump, and length. And to transition from one one animation to another, we use variables. Not any variables. We use bools, which can be true or false. So in parameters here we need to create one for run. We call it is run. We need one for jump, for this jump, and let me think. For I never made land animations. A land animation. Let me think. From jump. Let's keep this. Let's keep it like this for now. From idle to run. This property here called has exit time. Um, it's used to transition smoothly from 3D animations usually, but since we this game is 2D, we don't need it. We want the animation to be instant, and the condition is if is run is true. Also, we want one from the opposite way, from run to idle. From idle to jump, from run to jump, and the opposite way. I'm thinking how to integrate the land animation. So we jump and then we land. Okay.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused with the player land and player run. How is it connected?
So, can you repeat, please? Sorry.
Like player land connected to player run, the animation.
The
I don't quite get why is it so connected.
Okay. So, uh, if this bool here, which we will get from the script, if it uh, if it's true, then we transition from idle to run. And if it's false, if you are in the run animation, and then the bool becomes false, it will transition back to idle. You understand?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now we have to set all the conditions here. We don't so the land animation happens after we jump only. So we need a transition from jump to land, and that should be enough.
Okay,
Or
I
not.
get it. Thank you.
Okay, let's do it like this. Okay. Now we set the conditions. See, we say if you are in idle and is run is true, we transition to run, but we also need to make sure the player is not jumping. So we'll add another condition called uh, if it's jump is false, then we transition to run. And also here we add the same. Now this one from idle to jump, only if it's jump. is true, and the one from jump to idle we want is run to be false and is jump to be false. Okay, now from jump to land, let me think. I think we don't need the transition. We don't need the transition because uh, okay, we don't need uh, this. We'll do it by script. When the player lands on on a platform, we'll transition by script to this animation. So let's set the transitions between jump and run. When we go from jump to run, we want run to be true and jump to be false. And the other way, we want run to be false and jump to be true. Now let's check if we did this correctly. Okay, seems to be okay. Okay, so after we land, we want transitions to the other animations. So one way transition like this. For the jump, if jump is true. For run, if run is true and jump is false. And for idle, we want both to be false, like this. Now we have the animator. We can start coding. We have the sprite renderer, the box collider. Let's adapt it, the player size. I usually like to flip the player like this to make sure that the collider is correct. Okay, now we'll create two things. We need a script for that we'll call a level manager to create some win conditions. Call it level manager, and also a script for the player called player control. Okay, we added the player control. Let me see the animations. The length animation, we don't want it to loop. Jump, no. Okay. Open the script. Okay. So we need the components. Private sprite renderer. Let's make it public. The rigid body 2D RP. and the animator. And in the start function, which happens once when the object is spawned. Get the other components. Paste this. Okay. Now we need a couple variables. One is the player health. Call it HP. Actually, let's call it this. We need the movement speed. Move speed. We want when the game starts or when the player spawns, the health to be 3. What else? Let's see. Okay, now movement movement can be done 2 ways. One way is you detect when the player presses, in our case, A or D for left and right, or we use something called the horizontal axis, which is a value that goes from -1 to 1 when you press A and D. This way, instead of changing the speed instantly, we change it over a short period of time, so that the movement is smoother. Okay.
Yeah.
So
is the second one? Sorry. Ha, is the second one for like controller or thing?
the second what?
Yeah, I would be assuming it's for like controllers, probably one use case.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Like we would be implementing using if
No,
we're gonna be
let me show
playing
you.
with a
Let me show
controller
you.
or something like that.
No, it's very
Oh, okay.
simple. It's super simple. We create a variable called which it's vector2, meaning a direction, and we call this move direction. Actually, we don't need a vector2, we only need a float. Move direction. And in the update function, we also, let's create a, now that I think of it, let's create a bool to check if the player is alive. We call it alive, is alive. And when the game starts, this is true. And now in update, if the player is alive, then we need to get the move direction, and we use this function input dot let's see what's the difference between axis and axis row, because I don't know. Returns the value of smoothing filter. Let's try this. Get axis and then horizontal, I believe. And now the physics, we will change the velocity of the player in the rigid body, and when you do this every frame, you need to do it in the void late update function. Sorry, not late, fixed update. So we get the direction, and this will be a number between -1 and 1, and in the fixed update we change the velocity to mm, uh, new vector 2. Now the first number is movement on the horizontal axis, which will be move direction multiplied by uh, move speed, and uh, on the y-axis will maintain the same value, which is the one in the rigid body. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now we need to make the transitions between animations. I'm taking 1 second. Okay. So first we get the movement direction, and then we check if it is 0 or not, different than 0, sorry. If it's different than 0, then we okay, if it's different than 0, then the player is running, and if it's running let's get bool from the animator. Set bool, the name is run, and then we want it to be true. And else, meaning if it is 0, then this bool is false. Okay. And if it is moving, we want to flip the see, the player is looking towards the side, and if it's moving right, we want it. If it's moving the other direction, we want to flip it like this. See? So if it is moving, we check the direction. If the direction is bigger than 0, then we flip. Sorry, no, we don't flip. False. Else sorry, flip X. Okay. Now we need to think how to implement jumping. We need to check for input. So here we'll check if, sorry, not here, create another bool, is W, meaning if W is pressed. If W is pressed, so in this if the player is alive, we also check if input get key down, uh, key code W. Okay, key code W. Then is W is true. Now in fixed update, do you want me to add comments above the code to explain every data?
Uh, no, I'm just a bit wondering why do we store get key down in a variable, or sorry, a bool?
The reason is we can't do the jump in the update function. We need to do it in fixed. All, all physics should be done in fixed update,
Uh,
but it's not working
uh,
for some.
okay.
Okay, it's working now. It was needs to be uh, high case W. Okay, so now the jump. We check if is W is true, and if it is true, we do two things. First, we make this bool false, and then we add a jump force. Let's create a variable for this. Float jump force RB, if I remember correctly, add force, and the force is vector 2 up multiplied by jump force. And you can also add different types of force. See, you have the option to add a certain mode, which I'm not sure I'm not sure what it means, so we leave it like this. Okay, now it's false. Okay, we don't need to okay. The problem here is that this is not correct. We need to also check when the player presses W. We also need to check if it is already jumping. So we also check um, if is W is false. If he's not jumping, he can jump.
I see.
And we don't make this false here. We make it false when the player touches a platform like this on collision enter to D. Okay, let's go back to the Unity and let's make this tile map. Let's give it a tag called platform. So if it collides with platforms. With collision get collision dot collider dot get compare tag platform. So if the the collider is a platform, then we'll make W false, so he can jump again. And here we don't need parentheses. It's false, okay. We also have, we need to think how to do the land animation. Let me check the animator again, what the condition is. Okay, I see. So let's check how long is the jump animation. And we want a transition from after jump to land with no condition. Also, let me uncheck this for every animation. We want the animation to be, the transition to be instant. Okay, let's go to player. And we don't need to add, we don't need to assign the health here. Can just modify this in the editor. Okay, move speed, I don't know, we'll test. And jump force also we will test. Now let's see if it works. Okay, let's go back to the tile map and check the composite collider. Okay, let me delete this. Maybe not this one. I don't remember which one it is. Let me check. Composite, custom now. Ah, okay. A tile map collider. Sorry, we need the tile map collider. Now I think it should work. Okay, now it works. See? But
Yeah.
there is a problem. You see the player rotated. To prevent this, we
Yep.
go to the rigid body, and where it says constraints, we stop the rotation. Let me make this full screen. See?
Yep.
Okay,
Right.
the jump seems to. Okay, we need to reduce the speed. And also, what is gravity? Okay, gravity. Let me check the code one time. If it's not jumping, you can jump. And when
Uh,
it collides,
what call?
the player seems to not have gravity. And I'm not sure why. Okay, Okay. The horizontal movement seems to work. The jump does not work. Let's check if everything here is okay. This is okay. Something in the code is not correct. Okay, the horizontal works well. So the key and this W is supposed to make it true.
Is
Okay, I
RB
see. I see.
velocity Y calling itself?
Okay, we'll use a different method. Instead of this bool, we'll use a integer called jump count. So this jump count starts uh, 0, and if the key is pressed and also uh, jump count is 0, then one second. Okay, like a bool called is jumping, and it starts being false. So if jump count is 0, then is jumping is true, and uh, if is jumping and jump count is 0, then we add the force and jump count. um, we increase the jump count, so this does not loop infinitely, and here okay, so this jumping is false, and jump count equals 0. Let's try and see if it works. See if Okay. I don't know. Maybe the jump force is too low. Okay, I see. It works, but the jump force is too low. See? Now it works, but uh, it does not have an animation. Also, the animation is not smooth. Okay. So two things: we need to add the jump animation, and we also need to change the animation for run. No, it is not smooth. I don't know why. Okay, so where are we jumping? Fixed update. This is true. Okay, if this is true and this is 0, it jumps. Let's change here. Set bool is jump to, and also copy paste this here if it touches the platform. False. And let's go back to the animator. I think that okay, so after the jump it goes with no condition to land, but if the jump is true, it goes back to jump. It's an infinite loop, so we need to delete this. Okay, let's remove this condition. Let's check if it works. Okay, see?
Yeah, that's dope.
The jump works pretty well.
Yeah.
1 second. Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, but the length animation. Okay, I see what the problem is. I see. So at collision we want to uh, play this animation. Animator dot play, and the name of the animation is player length, and let's verify. See, now it has a land animation, but I don't know how. The jump seems to be smooth, but the run animation is not instant. There is a delay. Let's see what we did wrong. So the animation is in update. If it's different than 0, then it's moving. If it's more than 0, then it's moving this direction. Okay, and else if it's different than 0. I don't know. Okay, do you have an hour time?
I'm sorry.
I'm asking, do you have 1 hour time to stay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
then we'll go into either an enemy or uh, a trap. Which one would you like to? Would you like me to code?
Uh, a trap.
Okay, let's create a bigger map first. Let's go to the tile map. Um, Open tile palette, and let's create more platforms. Can select multiple from here. Can actually, I believe, you can select from here also. If I'm not mistaken. No, you can't. Okay, let's see what traps we have. Decorations, traps here. Let's see. Fire trap, a lot of traps. Let's do the one that I did in my game. Which should be this one? No. This the chain, okay. Okay. Chain and spike ball. Or the this one. Which one you want? The spike ball or the saw?
This. So.
The saw? Okay. This one was hard to code, I remember. Okay, let's create it. Call it so I guess. Let's add a sprite renderer like this. This should be I think one layer above the player, like this. With it. Also, let's we have the animation for the song. We want to divide it in multiple sprites. 38 times 38. Also take this and pixel per unit 38. This one is how big? 8. Okay, 8. Where is it? Okay, so there is one problem. You see that it is above the platform. We don't want that. The platform is on layer 1. We want it below the platform, but below the platform it's the background. So let's increase this by 1, and this should be 1, and the player should be above all of this. Now we'll need to create a little AI. We need there are two ways to do this. uh, let's say we want this to move like this, see, like this. We can do it in two ways. One, there is something in Unity called raycast, which is a line collider. You spawn it, and it you can use it to detect the corners of this platform. But that is a little bit complicated. So we'll do something that I call the lazy method, which is we'll add colliders at each corner of the platform, and when this reaches a certain collider, it changes directions, and the collider will have a script on it with the direction for the saw. So have the saw, and we want to create um, an empty object which we'll call saw collider. Uh, we want a tag called saw collider. Inside the tag, we want 2D collider, which will make it very small. And now we want it to be a trigger, meaning it has no physics. And the saw, we want it also to have a collider, a circle collider. Which will also be a trigger. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Okay, now we want a script for the saw collider. We need only one thing, a direction. We'll delete all this. Create a public vector2 direction. Back to Unity. Let's take this. Create a script for this too. So sorry, not this one. Not new script, sorry. And in here, sorry, I need public vector2 move direction, and in the start function um, we also need, now that I think about it, we need a rigid body. Rigid body, kinematic, meaning it only moves by script. Rotation, let's stop the rotation just in case. And we need a rigid body. Rigid body 2D. B. First we get the component. And we start the movement. We also need a move speed, float move speed. So rigid body velocity is move speed multiplied by the direction, and we want on collision, on trigger, sorry, on trigger enter if collision get compare tag. Let's see if I added the tag. Okay, so right there. Then RB velocity is equal to collision. We want to get the component, the script, that direction multiplied by move speed. We also want to add the animation, so let's create an animator. Let's go to animations, create an animator controller called like the object, go to trap, add the animator controller, and create animation. Like this. And let's find the frames here. Kind of fast. Also, we want to to flip it if let's lower the speed. So this is going towards left, the animation, as you can see, goes towards left. So we want to flip the sprite depending on the direction it is moving. Let's see here. Okay, let's create a new variable called let's say bool clockwise. By default it is not moving clockwise, but that doesn't matter. Let's in start, let's check if it is clockwise. If clockwise, then We also need the sprite renderer for this. Sprite renderer. Get the sprite renderer. If it's clockwise, we flip. Flip X. Else. Okay. You can also flip it on the y-axis. You can flip sprite renderer. See, look at the player. You can flip it like this also. Okay, so we have this trap. Now let's modify the properties. The move direction. If it's moving clockwise, it's obviously 1 on X, 0 on Y. Speed we have to test. Let's start with 20. And we need a saw collider in each corner of the platform. But not box collider, let's use a circle collider. It's more efficient. Okay. Trigger must be trigger. And the direction, one second. Let's check the emitter first. Okay. So if it's moving clockwise, this should send the trap down, which means -1 on the y-axis. We duplicate this, then it should move 0 on y, -1 on x. Duplicate these two, 0 on x, 1 on y. Duplicate it one more time. So not this one, so the first one.
Will
The,
the saw rotate or change direction when it hits the edge of the trigger or at the
yes,
middle of the
yes,
trigger?
yes. When I put a collider in each corner, when it reaches
Yeah.
this function is called here on trigger enter, and then it change the direction which is in the script of the collider.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's see if it works. Okay, it does not work because uh, it it has a rigid body. Okay, so I set direction is x. It falls for some reason. Gravity. Speed might be too big. Let's try lower speed. Ah, okay, I see. Verify if this is correct. So this one sends down, this one sends. Okay, this one is not correct. This should be. Ah, okay, I see. Okay. One collider was incorrect. Okay. There's a problem with the colliders. Let's see. Okay. This one is correct. This one is correct. Okay. Don't know what is the problem. Let's check the script. Flip. This has nothing to do with this. Velocity here is the problem. See direction and move speed. Let's check in lower speed. Ah, okay, here is the problem. Okay. Okay, now it should work. See? It works, but first of all, let's make the speed smaller on 5. And the colliders, let's see how to do this. Okay. Yeah, we need to experiment with this. We need to experiment with this. I think probably making it smaller is better. It's just I will delete everything, make it much smaller. Let's test first. Ah, okay, I see. I see. Okay. I see what the problem is. Okay. Let's create the colliders. Now let's check if they're correct. Okay. The problem is that this collider, we need two colliders for this. Okay. One for the player, which is this one. Let's add a tag here. Let's call it uh, let's call this enemy damage, and let's make a child of this, which we'll call detector. Add a small circle. This trigger, make it very small. One second. You understand? We need the two colliders, one for the player and one for the colliders at each corner of the platform.
Yep. I'm
I'm thinking
curious.
how
What
to do it.
about?
Excuse me.
Could I ask something?
Yes.
What about like offset?
Offset.
If we could like offset it by the radius, would that work?
I'm not sure what you're saying.
The offset and the circle collider. If we could
No,
offset it
this
by the
one just
radius, so it would.
this one just moves the collider away from the object. See?
Sorry for the saw collider.
No, no, it will not work. We need because actually that's a pretty good idea. Actually, we'll do that. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's see how much space we need for this. Yes, that is a much better idea than mine. Have to check. Prepare away from. Okay. Let's see if it works now. That is a much better idea. Yes, see now it works. But here it missed the collider for some reason. Maybe it's too small. Make it a little bit bigger. Just slightly. Now that is. See? It's pretty good now.
Yeah. What was the other idea that you were supposed to make? If
You're asking
you
what
don't
was my
mind.
idea?
Yeah.
It's much less efficient. Actually, I was thinking about having two different colliders on the saw. One for the player, this one
Mm.
that is big, and one smaller for the saw colliders. But your idea is much better.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's 6:30. I think we'll stop for today
All right.
and see you if you're still interested Friday at the same
Mm-hmm.
hour.
Yeah. Is it okay if I ask a few questions?
Yes, sure,
That's all right.
please.
In the player script,
Okay, let
there's
me let me
a
show you the player script.
yeah,
Okay, here,
yeah. I would like to clarify that if on get key down the
here.
W, it will call yeah,
This
it
will
will
call
call
once when you the key is pressed down. If you say get key without down, just get key, uh, and you press W and you keep it down, it will happen infinitely as long as the key is pressed
yeah,
down.
yeah. Then that is determined by on collision enter 2D.
Uh, uh, no, that is not influenced by only the condition here. See, the jump count.
Yeah.
The jump count
I mean
is changed here in collision.
on collision enter 2D will stop it from
We'll stop it from
is
no, no,
jumping.
no, 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 no. When you press W, um, the jump count here in fixed update will increase, so it will not be zero. So this is false. This condition. When the player touches the ground in here in collision enter, we change the jump count back to zero. So this is possible again.
Mm. Oh, I see.
I
And
if you want, I will before when we finish the project, I will comment every line so that is clear what
oh,
what
okay.
I do. That's what I did with the last project.
Yeah. I was just wondering what calls on collision enter 2D.
Um, Nothing. This happens if you have a collider on an object. You can use this function. This happens basically every frame. It's like an update function that happens um, if you have a collider,
Oh,
and
okay, I see.
it saves the data about the collision in this variable, and then you can access this variable to check for tag. That's what we do here.
Right.
If it is if there are two functions. You have on collision enter, and you also have on trigger enter. On collision happens when physics are enabled. Triggers means no physics, and
Mm,
also you see it here. For example, let's look at the player. We have a box collider, and you see this variable here is trigger. If
yeah.
if we leave this unchecked, it means this collider has physics, and also you need to use on collision enter. If you check this, it will not have physics, and also you need to use on collision on trigger enter, not collision. If you let's say you have this checked and it is a trigger, this function will not work. It will do nothing. The collision enter.
Yeah.
It needs to be on trigger.
Uh, okay. So if I up or if we were to apply is trigger to the saw,
Uh,
then it would in terms of like the acting as a trap, right?
yes. If the player has a um, has, if it's not triggered, it will still interact with the triggers. If that's what you're asking, it
Oh
the
yeah.
only thing is we need to check for collision. You see now I'm in the player controller. We
Yeah.
need to create a new function called on trigger enter for the collision with traps.
Okay.
So to answer the question, if you have an object that is not trigger, it will still interact with triggers.
Mm, I got it. Okay. Thank you. Uh, is there still gonna be a schedule for this Friday?
Yes, we'll meet the same hour.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Mm, yeah.
Any other questions?
Uh, nope.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming,
Yeah.
and I hope
Thank you also for teaching.
next time we'll have more people.
Oh, yes. Hope so too.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank
See
you.
see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.